Miss Jessie, back to talk to you for the second time about seed germination. So last week we talked about the basics of seed germination using the paper towel technique. So we created these little containers, which we see here. Kind of see the seeds through there. Created little containers where our seeds can germinate. And actually, since I made the video last week, I made a second container of seeds just to make sure that we would have enough seeds to use in the second part of the seed germination demonstration. All right, so that's what we did last week. And last week we also talked about a couple of facts related to seed germination. So what we're actually going to do now very quickly before we move into the second part is we are going to do a little knowledge check. So the screen is going to show you two different questions, and then this, you're going to have 30 seconds to write down or say your answers. So that is going to happen right now. So get ready, and it is time for seed germination part 1 knowledge check. So we are back from our knowledge check for seed germination part 1. So the first question was, what is a seed and what is seed germination? So just to recap, a seed is a tiny holder for a very, very small plant. And a seed has all of the ingredients necessary to create a plant. And then the second part of that question, what is seed germination? Seed germination refers to the process by which a seed grows into a plant. So, yeah, very fun stuff. So then our next question was, what are the 4 factors that influence seed germination? So those factors are oxygen, temperature, light, and also moisture. So oxygen, temperature, light, and moisture are the 4 main factors that will influence whether your seeds will germinate or not. All right, so let's take a look at what happened in our first container during the past week. So, as you can see, most of the seeds pretty much look the same way that they did last week, which means that a lot of our lemon and cilantro seeds, those just didn't end up germinating. But then we'll notice that this one apple seed right here on the left has this kind of sprout coming out of it, or the beginning of that little plant starting to emerge from the seed. So that is very exciting. And you might be wondering, like, oh, why did the other ones not germinate? There's a lot of factors that could influence that. For example, the lemon seeds, they have a very thick kind of seed coating. So, you know, I'll leave these seeds in here a little bit longer, and maybe the lemon ones, the moisture will kind of get into them a little bit more. But with the apple ones, one of them we were able to germinate. All right, so now we have removed the lid from our second germination box that we use the paper towel technique on, and you will notice that we have a lot of activity happening in here. So again, these seeds have been in this container for about a week. And just so you know what you're looking at, we're looking at seeds that will make pea plants. And then we're also looking at some flower seeds. So the bigger seeds are for the pea plants, and then the smaller seeds are for a type of flower that I believe is called bachelor's buttons. So the thing that is exciting about this container is we have a lot more activity than we did in the first container where we only got one apple seed to germinate. So I have pulled the two types of seeds that germinated in here out of the container. And one thing that's very exciting about these seeds is you can actually start to see little leaves popping out of the seeds. And you can kind of see that on this one right here. So again, we're looking at really small things here, so hopefully you can get the sense of what I'm talking about. But you know, all of these structures that are coming out of the seeds will eventually be roots for the plant, and then you're starting to see little leaves start to form, which is a very good sign. So at this point, our seeds have actually gone through a process of transformation, or the seeds have changed. So we have been referring to them as seeds, but now we have a new word to call them by. So seeds that have been germinated, they're starting to put out these roots, putting out little leaves. We're going to call those sprouts. So from here on out, I'm not going to call them seeds. I'm going to refer to them as sprouts, because sprouts refer to a seed after they have germinated. So our next logical question is, what are we going to do with these sprouts? How are they going to turn into plants? So our next step is we are going to put our sprouts into some potting soil. So at this point, the sprouts have been sustained by the water in the container, but now we're going to put the sprouts in soil, and they're going to be able to get more nutrients from the soil, because you can only get so many nutrients or what the sprout needs from just water alone. So we're going to put the sprouts in soil, and the way that we're going to do that is also using materials that we have in our home. So here is a cardboard egg carton that I just had my eggs in until a couple days ago when I ate the rest of them. So what we can actually do is I can cut the top off of this egg carton, and that will leave me with this nice little container that has 12 little areas that I can lay dirt in here, and then I can poke those little sprouts into each of these little areas within the egg carton. So we're basically making ourselves a little planter for our seeds. And the other thing I think I'm actually going to do is I want to use this other side of the carton as well. And there's some holes in it, but I think I'm going to cover this with some aluminum foil, and then I'm going to use that as kind of a nice little dish to put the sprouts into with some dirt. And you will also need a spray bottle with some water in it. Once we put our plants into our little containers with the dirt, we have to be very careful, because as you probably will notice if you do this project yourself, the sprouts are very, very delicate. So you have to be very careful when you're handling them. And once you put the sprouts into their container, you're going to want to water them. But if you dump a bunch of water on your little delicate sprouts, they might not do so well. They might break. So we're just going to do a little spritz of water onto our dirt that has our sprouts in it. And then we'll keep everything nice and support it. All right, so I just wanted to give everyone a little look of the containers before I put the soil into them. So we took our egg carton, we cut it into one container for our sprouts, and then with the other one that, if you remember, it had all these holes in the bottom. So I just took some aluminum foil and kind of squished that into that container. And now that is going to prevent any water or soil from leaking out. And the other thing to mention about this part of the process is, I had to cut this with scissors, all that fun stuff. So, if you need help from your parents, make sure that you are talking with them while you're doing this project. And also, I'm going to put soil into here next, and then I'll show you what that looks like. But if you are using the soil, also known as dirt, make sure that you are doing that outside so you do not make a mess in your parents' house. All right, I'm going to put the soil in, and then we will take a look at what that looks like. So at this point, I have filled our little egg carton containers with our soil. So a couple things to mention regarding the soil in the container. So number one, if there's any clumps in the soil, you want to break those up. You want the soil to be as fine as possible because again, we have these very delicate sprouts, which we see here. We have these very delicate sprouts, and we don't want any clumps of soil or any rocks or anything that's kind of gonna block them as they try and get out of the soil. So then the second thing to mention is I used just a little tool to, let's see if I can do this, just kind of make little holes in the soil here. So that makes it easier for me to just put the seedlings right into the soil. So here we have two pea seedlings, two pea sprouts, and then we have some of the flower sprouts up here, and then we have our little apple sprout as well. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna pick up your sprout and you're just gonna put it in the dirt, and then you want to cover it up. So there's one done. So now let's put one of our pea plants in the dirt. There it goes. Let's grab another one. And then we're just gonna cover that up. And that is that. All right, so last couple things for our video, seed germination part 2. So I just put all the seeds into my seed containers. I actually went and got another container and put some dirt in it because I had a lot of sprouts that I just wanted to put in some dirt and see what they're gonna do. So I have all my containers, I have all my sprouts in the dirt. I covered all the sprouts with dirt, and then I took my spray bottle and I just kind of misted the surface of the dirt, making sure to not disturb any of the sprouts. And yeah, so within a couple, within a day or two, the soil might dry a little bit, and then you just want to spritz it again with your spray bottle. But you want to make sure that you're not over-watering the soil, because then too much water is just as unnecessary as not enough water. So yeah, then within a couple days, your sprouts are going to start to rise out of the soil, which will be exciting. So one more thing I want to mention, because the sprouts are still in this very delicate state, you don't want to put your containers outside just yet. Sometimes a squirrel will come along, the squirrel will dig through the dirt, and kind of all that hard work you did germinating the seeds into sprouts, you know, the squirrel will just dig up all the dirt and eat all the sprouts. So make sure that for the next like week, maybe until the plants kind of start growing a little bit more, you want to keep your containers inside. So find a nice sunny window to put your containers by. Again, making sure that the soil has water in it every couple days. So yeah, if you don't have a nice sunny window, you can also use something called a seedling heat mat, which I have right here. So seedling heat mat, basically it's just this kind of big piece of material, and it comes with a cord to plug into the wall. So if you don't have access to a sunny window or any form of kind of light or heat for your seedlings, because light and heat is going to help the seedlings grow, or sorry, the sprouts grow quicker. So if you have access to one of these heat mats, this will heat up the soil and make the sprouts grow quicker. So that's just a little tip for you. This one did cost like $20 on Amazon. So, you know, a sunny window works just as well, and it's free. So I just want to give you a sense of where I'm going to be keeping my seedlings for the next week or so. So I have a bunch of my plants here, and we're right near a window, which is very bright. So I have all of my plants, all of my containers, have them all on a little rug that is on top of my seedling heating mat, which is then plugged into the wall behind my refrigerator. So, you know, I'm working with a pretty small space in my apartment, but, you know, this is my setup for my seeds for the next week. So every day I will take a look at them and, you know, give them a little spritz of water if they need it. In closing, I just want to say thanks again for tuning in this week to see Seed Germination Part 2. So next week we will have Seed Germination Part 3 on our YouTube channel. So if you want to know the next step for your sprouts as they turn into little baby plants, definitely check out the video posted next week to see the next steps. All right, see ya.